too many homeless people and there's too many future homeless people in the state of Massachusetts. Yes. I would also move to encourage economic development, the kind that with its job opportunities in various local communities, that the jobs go to the local residents instead of New Hampshire, Connecticut people. Thank you.
I might add, as far as the cuts that the caucus was responsible for, we cut out or completely eliminated the support services for public housing tenants, which includes things like the workforce program in the Cambridge Housing Authority, which got all kinds of awards from the Ford Foundation and supplied jobs for about 200 kids after school. That's completely gone. Also the Section 8 707 certificate program, which is the ticket out for a lot of people who currently live in shelters, that has been completely wiped out. And there's a whole lot more. But our next speaker here is well known to many people. She started the first women's shelter, first and only women's shelter in Boston. Kit Tiernan, Rose's place.
I hope you can hear me okay, believe it or not. Albert Camus, the great French writer, once said, "Justice, we must make it imaginable again." And that is the goal and commitment of the new Commonwealth of Massachusetts Department, the Ministry of Justice. We begin by defining it. Justice, the Bible tells us, is a kind of sorting out what belongs to whom and returning it to them. This will not be an easy task, but we do believe that we're up to it. Perhaps it begins by reclaiming the moral vision. There is a hunger to once again belong to the human family that makes it inclusive rather than exclusive. By definition, a state or a nation's identity is determined by its standard of living, where you live and how you live. And the new Ministry of Justice of the Commonwealth feels that it is our first job to reclaim a decent standard of living for every citizen of the Commonwealth. And that it is not so much a question of eligibility of the individual as it is the accountability of those who are paid and elected to provide it. We must find ways not to cope with the problem, but to change. Justice, we must make it imaginable again. And we will. We will look to the mathematics of homelessness and poverty, and we will question and challenge the notion of providing a cot in the shelter for almost $1,000 a month versus a welfare check of $340 a month. And we will ask ourselves why, in 1 year, it cost the taxpayers of the Commonwealth over $250 million for 6,000 cots in shelters. There's something wrong with this picture, folks. We will ask ourselves, whatever happened to the middle class? And where did it go? We will challenge the system that creates poverty instead of stopping it or preventing it. We will demand wages we can live on and pay the rent with and feed our families. We will ask why Massachusetts continues to pay 40% more for its medical services than any other state in the country. We will ask why there are thousands of empty housing units and a growing number of homeless people. We will ask ourselves how much more suffering we are willing to let others endure in our name as taxpayers. It was Margaret Mead who said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." We, sisters and brothers, can make that change. We can make justice happen by insisting not for ourselves alone, but for all of us who want justice. These are rotten times, and what's required of us is that we care, and that we struggle, and that we struggle to stay in that struggle for common wealth. This is our privilege, this is our highest calling, In that struggle we will succeed and we will fail. We'll be selfish and we'll be noble, and we'll be human. We must believe that as long as we struggle for justice, nothing can separate us from each other. We are all part of the human tapestry of life. Physicians, we are told, when they take the Hippocratic Oath, to do no harm. The ministry of justice would suggest that any one of us who wields the power of life and death should be mandated to take that same oath. Whether we are social workers, or providers, or homeless advocates, or politicians, or bank clerks, because power can be, as we know, careless, and it is easy to forget the oath of doing no harm. We need to stand up with and for each other to resist the forces of evil that will continue to dehumanize us. We need to stand up as one and say, no, never again, not in my name. This group of men and women you see before you today is not an idle, ragtag, frivolous party of revelers. We are citizens of the Commonwealth who have committed ourselves to the reclamation of moral order and justice for all. We have all been around a long time, and we're not going to go away. We need the help of the poor, the near poor, the middle class, because your battle is our battle. Your goals are our goals, and your vision of fairness is our vision. You may be a whisper away from a lonely cot in a shelter, must join all of us in our demand for a decent standard of living, because it is here, at the core, where the hurt begins. It is here at the core where one discovers that history is created, if not by the spiritually mature, then by the spiritually depraved and degenerate. It is here at the core where prayers become clenched fists, and the presence of God is most discernible in fury and in hope. The new ministry of justice shares your rage and your hope, and because of that, sisters and brothers, you and I will make it through the long, dark, lonely nights together. Join us in this journey for justice, because today I believe that justice is indeed imaginable again. We invite you to come join us in what may well be the most important crusade of our lives, the crusade for survival and salvation, and it begins now. Thank you.